because I was known to always get most of the laughs or whatever after Toastmasters or whatever. And after the meeting, if someone else, or if during the meeting, if someone went up and they got laughs and like killed it, I always, give credit where credit due. I'd be like, hey man, funny stuff, dog. Hey man, good job today. But my coworker, man, this dude would come up after me and be like, or he would come up to me and be like, hey Andre, hey man, hey, that so and so guy's funnier than you. He got you today. I think he's funnier than you. I'd be like, all right, motherfucker, go sign this to a Netflix deal. What the you want me to do? You know what I'm saying? Tripping. Tripping with Theobold. Come on, Dre. Yo, what's going on, y'all? Welcome to another episode of Tripping with Theobold. I'm your host, Andre Theobold. Welcome to the show. Glad y'all could tune in. AT is where it's at, almost from the social media. So make sure you follow me. Boom. Okay, let's go ahead and get into it, man. Today's topic is I'm tripping on, man. I'm tripping on public speaking. Right? Is public speaking overrated? Put in the chat, let me know. Let me go ahead and give you my take on it, right? Is public speaking overrated? Absolutely. I think it is. I think that whenever you have to call something, so whenever you have to say that you're publicly speaking or you're doing public speaking, it's almost like you're that's exactly what you're doing. You're just talking, moving your mouth, making sounds. To me, the missing element in all this is it's communication or connection. To me, public speaking is overrated. Here's why, man. It's basically you're training to do a thing, and then it just seems disconnected, like it seems like you're dropping off some mail, right? It's like you have a package, you got to make sure you package this thing up perfectly, and you got it all packed the way you want it to be packed up and everything's taped up. And then you go and just drop it off. And then when you're done, you do this and you say, yeah, look at me. I publicly spoke. I got up and I did public speaking. A lot of people are afraid to do it, but I did it. I did that thing, the question is to me, the bigger question is what was the overall objective? To me, when people say they're doing public speaking, the overall objective is to get in front of a microphone and to speak. And I think the bar needs to be set higher than that. It needs to be, to connect, Now, don't get it twisted. I think there are a lot of skills. There are a lot of useful skills in public speaking, I think there's a lot of useful. I look at public speaking like dribbling a basketball, like when you dribble a basketball, right? Like, yeah, you can be the best ball handler in you can be the best ball handler in the league, and you can do all the drills, dribble behind the back, spider dribble, cross people up, all this shit. You know what I mean? But when you get into the game, right, you don't score points by out dribbling the team or out dribbling the other team. You don't win a game by just dribbling. I mean, it's something that you need to do in order to put the ball into the basket, in order to get the most points to win the game. But it's a thing that has to be done, right? So to me, it's like, public speaking can't be the end goal. I mean, it can't. I mean, for some people it is. I mean, some people just are so afraid of talking in front of people that just getting in front of a microphone is a win. And I get it. It's a good first step. You got to keep doing it. But the main thing is connection. Like, what do you want people to do after you have spoken to them? You know, um, right? How do you judge a public speaking or public speaking? Like, how do you judge that? You know what I'm saying? Um, I feel like as humans, I feel like we've evolved past just getting in front of a microphone. I think now it's okay, how do we connect and how do we communicate with people? How do we communicate more effectively? I had a football coach when I was younger, and he always said that I remember I was in practice, and he had me playing nose tackle because I was small. Like, here's the thing, nose tackles are normally big, like, linemen, but because I was older and I was small, I had to play with the smaller kids. So I was 13 playing 75-pound football, and they couldn't have me running the ball because it just wouldn't be, because I was more developed, and I had more, I guess I had more like coordination, I guess, when you're 13 versus being 9 and 10 years old. But I was small. I was very undersized. So he had me play nose tackle, and you know, I kept jumping off sides. And I remember the coach asked me, he was like, Andre, what's your job? And I said, to watch the ball. And he kicked the ball hard as shit, like, at my helmet. So I had a face mask, but he kicked the ball hard as shit. Then he was like, do your fucking job. And he started like shouting at me or whatever. Right. And then after he got done shouting at me or whatever, he made a point. He was like, look, he said, look, there's a difference between talking to people and talking at people. When you see me get emotional and get mad, it's because I want to see you guys win. I want to see you guys do well. So I'm talking to you. Okay. But when you're talking at someone, it means you don't really care about how it's received. You just kind of drop your message and keep moving. Right. And to me, that's kind of the same connotation as, public speaking. Right. When people get all hype and worked up to do public speaking, it's to get up and talk at people. Right. Um, but it's more, to me, it's like we have to evolve past that, you know? Like, when I watch the news, I mean, I don't watch the news. Like, I'm done with the news, yo. Like, if I want to find out the news, nigga, I'll just look at Twitter. You know what I'm saying? But the news, like, one major reason why I can't watch the news is because the people that are doing the reporting, or the anchors or whatever and stuff, like, they're reading a prompt, like the people at the desk, like, they're reading the prompt, and you can kind of see their eyes kind of moving back and forth. They just know how to read well, right? So if you can read that well, to make people think like, you're just talking at the screen, then it's like there's no connection, right? So that's how it's easy to think that, the news really is turning more into propaganda. It's like you're talking at people, and this is why YouTube and these kind of platforms are good, because there's more interaction. It's like, it's not scripted. Like, right now, there's no teleprompter. I'm speaking to y'all from the heart. You know what I'm saying? Um, I don't know what I want y'all to do other than to subscribe to my channel and keep watching. But I mean, we talking, right? And to me, that's the thing, right? When you look at um when you do public speaking or whatever, it just seems like it's a one-way thing, you know. Um, One thing I learned in acting class that I apply to stand-up comedy and everything else is, a lot of actors, a lot of beginning actors, what they'll do is they're just so into memorizing their lines, like, they're just so into, oh, I gotta memorize this. I'm a good memorizer. I gotta memorize my lines, and they'll sit there and they won't even have any thoughts about what it is they're saying. They're not having any thoughts about what was just said to them. All they know is they know they line, and when it's their turn to go, it's my time to go. Right? And that's what they do. They sit there and they look at you in the eye and don't blink. And then they'll do the line the way they rehearsed it, and um in the acting class I found out that that's not a that's not a good technique because or it's not a good way to go about acting because what happens is when you deliver a line a certain way, the way you want to deliver it without taking into account like, the room dangers and just, you know, getting a gauge of the audience of the room, it's like what's going to happen is it's going to turn into just Recite Fest, you know? I'm going to say my line, then you go, right? And then the next nigga say they line, and then when they say they line and then they don't say it back the way it matches the way how you practiced it, it's going to throw you off because now it's like, wait a minute, like what thought am I really having? How am I really feeling about what was just said to me, So um that's why they say in acting it's good to know the lines, but be prepared to play off of your scene partner. If your scene partner delivers it one way, the lines, but you also have to have the thought of how you have to have the thought of what this person just said and how they said it to say your line with a true reaction of how you interpreted it back to the back to your scene partner, So it's the same thing in comedy. So I learned that in comedy, right? Like a lot of times we'll learn our jokes and we'll get on stage and just recite the jokes and just spit it out the way we practice it. But it's like that's not how comedy work, you know? Like you got to know the jokes, but then also be able to play the jokes to any room, So if you go into a room that's cold and they're not really trying to hear a comedy, you already know that your set list probably you have to probably use shorter jokes to kind of get the room popping a little bit so you can actually do some like real material. But once you do that, it's like you have to just be in tune and be connected with, you know, your environment. And that's the same thing, right? So to me, public speaking is the way it is defined or the way it comes across is, oh, I'm going to learn this speech and I'm going to say it and rehearse the lines this way. And I'm going to say it and look convincingly. And I'm going to make this face when I say this word. And I'm going to point on this word and I'm going to do that. And it just looks too rehearsed. Like it doesn't look like you're communicating anything. It looks like you're just reciting. I got a funny comedian friend of mine, Henry Coleman. Shout out to Henry Coleman, man. Man, one of the best in the game, man. Henry Coleman is he said you got a lot of motherfuckers out there trying to get their Easter speeches when they get on stage. And we're not in the business of giving Easter speeches. That's kind of how my mind worked. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not trying to give no Easter speech. I'm trying to, show you how I feel about something, So to me, it's like, yeah, I think, public speaking is overrated. I think it's a good stepping stone to getting in front of the microphone, but there has to be a deeper meaning or a deeper reason as to why you're up there. And you have to be more present, in my opinion, Real quick, I was in Toastmasters when I was at work. I used to love going to Toastmasters, man. I used to love going to Toastmasters because I got to charge an extra hour. I got to basically charge that hour to work, right? And it really wasn't work. It was like extra free time. So I was always looking for ways to, charge time and not do no work. You know what I mean? So this was one of those opportunities, and it was also an opportunity to kill two birds with one stone, because as y'all know, I'm working on my stand-up comedy and stuff, or I'm a stand-up comedian. So I would go to Toastmasters and use that as an opportunity to crack jokes. You know what I mean? But I stopped going because and here's the thing, I'm not trying to shit on Toastmasters, man. Toastmasters is cool. It they have these little exercises and it's like the way it's set up is everyone has a role in the meeting, right? Like if you're not like at the table, then you're an audience member, right? So if you're an audience member, your job is to vote on whoever went up and did whatever, you know. If you're at the table, you know, you have you have like one of multiple roles, right? Like for example, you might be the clicker, you know. So the clicker is the person that clicks and records the number of double clutch words and filler words. Like I just said, right? So if I said, we have a clicker and you go click, click, and then you got to write that shit. You got to keep track of all that, you know? So that's one person's job. Then you have someone that does table topics, right? Where, it's like impromptu, you'll have like one or two people that, have to, like, they're not going to know what they're even talking about. It's about being able to talk on the fly and, do impromptu speeches, then you have like two prepared speeches, and then you have people like, so that's how kind of Toastmasters is set up, right? But I stopped going to Toastmasters, man, because I had a coworker, man, that was on my team, man. This dude was a bitch, yo. I couldn't stand this dude, man. This dude was terrible. Like he basically made that time of my day not fun, you know? Like yeah, he did two things. Like one, um he just made it like way too competitive, right? Like me, I was known to always kind of like crack jokes. So they always had me do table topics. They always threw me up and do table topics or whatever. And I would always have them like laughing and shit. And then every now and again, you'd have people come in there who were awkward. They may have been like, borderline autistic or whatever. I worked in engineering. So you had like a lot of like weirdos, including myself, possibly, like, I mean, whatever. But, um, and, they would get up there and give a take on something and it'll be funny. But man, I had this one bitch ass coworker, man. This motherfucking man, dude was terrible, yo. Like after a meeting, because I was known to always get most of the laughs or whatever after Toastmasters or whatever. And after the meeting, if someone else, or if during the meeting, if someone went up and they got laughs and like killed it, I always, give credit where credit due. I'd be like, hey man, funny stuff, dog. Hey man, good job today. But my coworker, man, this dude would come up after me and be like, or he would come up to me and be like, hey Andre, hey man, hey, that so and so guy's funnier than you. He got you today. I think he's funnier than you. I'd be like, all right, motherfucker, go sign this nigga to a fucking Netflix deal. What the fuck you want me to do? You know what I'm saying? So, nah, he was terrible, man. So after every like when that started to kind of pick up in Toastmasters, man, I just was like, man, let me leave this motherfucker. Let me leave this shit alone. This shit is terrible. But then also, that's not the only reason why I stopped doing Toastmasters. But there was a like when we did table topics, people tried to get niggas hemmed up, yo, and like I wasn't going for that. Like for example, anytime there was something that happened in the news, you know, where like a black person was unalived, unjustly, or I said unjustly, or anytime an unarmed black person was unalived by the authorities, um, you know, someone always had a table topic about that. Anything that had to do with race and black or whatever, they made sure they picked me for table topics. And they were trying to get me to bite, but I already knew the game, yo. Like, cause you gotta think, I'm in Toastmasters, and I'm in there with like executives, like people that are high up the chain, like no CEOs, but I'm up there with like principal engineers, directors, you know what I mean? So, these people have a direct line to HR, you know what I'm saying? So, it would be some controversial stuff that happened in the news with respect to black people, or the Colin Kaepernick stuff, and they'd be like, yeah, so for today's topic, Andre, how do you feel about yada, 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 yada? And I'd be like, oh, in my mind, I'd be like, oh, y'all niggas want me to fuck up my check. Yeah, nah, I ain't doing that. So of course I did some tap dance soft shoe shit. And I would just be like, hey man, well, y'all know the deal, man. What's y'all know what's right, y'all know what's wrong. Um, you know, yeah. I'm trying basically I'd be like, I'm trying to keep my check. So I know better. I wouldn't say it like that, but people would kind of like laugh and giggle because they knew, you know, I knew the game, but I wasn't gonna get up there and turn that shit into a Black Panther pep rally. You know what I'm saying? Because next thing you know, I'm sitting with people that are tied in with HR, and that's how you get walked out. So that's another reason why I stopped going to Toastmasters, yo. It was because whenever controversial topics came up and they really wanted me to speak from the heart, I felt like it was a trap, and I wasn't trying to fuck up my paycheck like that. And then also, yeah, we had that bitch ass motherfucker, the bitch ass dude that I worked with, man. He used to always he just made it not fun. You know what I mean? So, but anyways, I kind of went off on a tangent. So yeah, public speaking is overrated. Like if you're more worried about how a person sounds versus what they're communicating, to me, that's the problem, right? Like, here's the thing, right? As y'all know, this channel is called Tripping with Theobold because I trip in speech and thought. You know, when I say trip in speech, it means that I stutter. You know what I'm saying? You guys may see it flare up. You guys may see it come in and out. Who knows? I can't control it. In my mind, a lot of shit is going on in my mind or whatever. But back in the day when like I had like when I stuttered bad, like people would think I'm dumb. You know what I'm saying? Like people think that if you can't talk, then you stupid. There's something wrong with you. You know what I'm saying? But really, it's it's really like not related to intelligence at all. It's just some phenomenon that happens to where words come out all messed up or whatever. So where's I going with this? Yeah, but then I know some people that sound like they know what they talking about and they don't know shit. Like for example, right? Candace Owens is I don't mean name drop. Candace Owens is very articulate. You know what I'm saying? Like when it comes to articulating words, she's a 10. When it comes to like here's the thing, she's gotten better over time, but a broken clock is right. What, twice how's that quote go? I can't even get the quote right. But logically, like her shit be flawed. You know what I'm saying? So but she's also real crafty, you know what I'm saying? So that's probably a bad example because she wants you to think a certain thing or to believe a certain thing, and she's going to leave out certain facts. So that's probably a bad example. My bad. I shouldn't have used that example. But a good example is or would be the standard American melody, right? I learned this in a voice acting class, right? Or a voice coach or a voice. I didn't go to no voice school, but it's like a course I took or whatever. But with the standard American melody, it goes down, down, further down, right? So if someone were to ask you, or someone were to ask me, hey, Andre, where's the door? I would say, it's right over there. It's right over there. See that? It went down, down, furthest down. So I ended on the furthest down, because it sounds like I'm in command. I'm in authority, But if I end on a high note, right? If I say, oh, it's over there, right? It sounds like I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? So you could have a lot of people that use the standard American melody and don't know shit, right? But they know the art and the craft of using the standard American melody, which is used, I would assume, in public speaking. Therefore, you know, you just basically gave bad information, but it sounded good, you know? So I'm not really about how shit sound. I'm about like the overall effect. Like what's the message? You know what I mean? So what are your thoughts? Put it in the comment section. Let me know. You know? Um, that's all I got. Um, so without further ado, I'm out of here, folks. Peace. Yep. Tripping with Theobold.
Let's go.
Caliente.
Tripping. Yep. Tripping. Tripping. Tripping with Theobold.
Tripping with Theobold.